So it's time to switch it up. We're headed out here on Loggers Point today as opposed to Timber Gold Trails, continuing our quest for a 400-inch non-typical mule deer here in the Hunter Classic. Now, in all honesty, we're doing this as much for a change of scenery as for the opportunity at other animals, but we'll see what it brings us out here. That's a big buck. Oh my goodness. Not a 400 non-tip, but that's a massive typical. That main beam on his left might be short. 220 to 250, are you actually serious? Nah, I don't think it is short. That is a giant. I've got this other buck coming in. I don't know if we can get away with this with the feral hog though. Because if that buck walks under our stand, he probably spooks, and we gotta keep calling to bring the other one in. If he walks away like that, maybe we can get away without spooking the feral hog. We're gonna have to try to get this shot in. He's gonna stop there at about 33. I think we probably just go for this. Maybe the hog spooks another direction, worst case. That's gonna drop him. Oh, the hog didn't spook. We are in the perfect position. So many times here on Loggers Point, that is a monster. Oh my goodness. I've been like stubborn with where I tried to go, the route that I choose. I decided we're not doing that today because mule deer spawns, where mule deer show up on the map, seems to be so much less consistent than whitetail. So I've already fast traveled. We started way down here. I know this is a good mule deer spot, but I wasn't expecting that. That could be something really special. Look at the size of the frame. I mean, we've shot 240 plus mule deer plenty of times. I don't know if it's because he's like backlit by the sunrise there, maybe because we're in this tower. He just looks enormous. I don't see any flaws with that rack. Like, these forks, the lengths match, the beams are actually fantastic the longer I look at them. Just a few more steps here. Gosh, he looks insane. I think the next time he stops, we're gonna go for this. That frame is absolutely absurd. I think he might stop there at 29. See if we can make as good a shot as we did on the first one. And I don't want to hit him in the head, just for trophy shot's sake. Perfect time to scratch aside. That is a monster buck down. Again, no 400 non-tip, but that could be something really, really solid. Gotta be careful here, because that hog, I don't think took off its way over there, so it's not gonna attack us. What do we have for our second kill? Gonna be our first harvest of this hunt here on Loggers Point. What an absolute giant mule deer. Got him neck bone 3 left lung, 238.8. I thought he was going to be even bigger than that. The only thing I can say is the frame does look a little narrow. Maybe the spread credit could have been better. But I mean, I don't even know. There's next to no deduction. I might even look at the score sheet just to see. Like, that is a nearly perfectly symmetrical rack. I think I'm going to be pretty happy with that. I really want that to zoom just the tiniest bit more, just so we have the entire frame in the photo, but pretty darn cool. A 238 to get us going. Just seeing that frame coming in on Loggers Point for so many years as a guest here in the Hunter Classic when mule deer were the only free species and running on a terrible computer. I would spawn at this lodge, walk up to this tower because it was relatively close, and just call. There was so little option running at like 10 FPS and not knowing where to go. That was what we did so much, and to kill that absolute giant typical, just getting going here from that tower, that is a throwback. So I just talked about like the inconsistency of mule deer spawns. You'll get them down here some, but it's not a super frequent thing. I think we'll move that direction, and I'm not sure. Typically I'd go through here. Now this is mostly whitetail territory down in here. You'll get mule deer on occasion, but they're really not in that area. So maybe we'll get down kind of to the edge of mule deer territory, or what is typically mule deer territory, and we might consider fast traveling again just to focus in on them. Are you actually serious? There is some kind of rare out there, and I think that's a mule deer buck. Oh, it is. An albino mule deer buck, 145 to 170. What is happening? Bucks have been so few and far between today, and yet we've had a 238 and an albino, I'm gonna say 150. That is unbelievable. Just kind of snuck out here to this tower, and actually we fast traveled like I talked about quite some time ago, walked all the way down to here. Some degree of just switching it up and really trying to be in mule deer territory today is making a massive difference. All the time on timber gold trails, and admittedly, we've killed some awesome stuff over there, but I don't know if we've had a hunt quite like this. And we're maybe trying to shoot our third buck of the hunt an hour in. It's been slow, but man, the quality is top notch right now. And this is gonna be interesting. Got a couple of deer closer to us than he is, but he's kind of making up some ground. He's standing there at 44 now. Man, I just can't believe. Like, we haven't killed an albino mule deer buck in a long time, and he's a pretty decent sized one. I think, with that doe getting so close, probably as soon as he stops, we'll try to do the same as the 238 earlier. Just let him walk as close as he will. Man, the sun hitting him and everything. That is crazy. That doe's getting really close. And she will spook when she gets under the tower, so might have to shoot him on the walk at this rate. And again, I want to not shoot him in the head if we can help it. A little further back than I wanted. I think we spine shot him. Not exactly ideal, but I really didn't want the arrow like in the side of his head for the trophy shot, so we'll just kind of wait that out a minute. And this is just the most absurd hunt that I ever could have imagined. Look at that. Albino mule deer buck. He's going to be our biggest albino mule deer ever. We've never gotten a very big one. I think like 130 was our best. It was spined to and tested. 150.5 going straight to the lodge. I cannot believe that. On Logger's Point, we are just having absurd mule deer luck. And again, it's not like we're finding very many of them. There has not been a grunt, not a buck track, since we shot those two up at the northern tower. Very few and far between, but man, when they're this kind of stuff that we're finding, I'll wait a long time between bucks. I mean, just what are the odds? A 238 typical, an albino 150 plus in the same hunt? And we've only killed a couple of deer. I really thought when we shot that 238 that we had killed the best animal of our hunt, literally the first thing we'd harvest, and that would be the thumbnail animal. I have no doubt the albino we just shot is going to be in the thumbnail unless we get something crazier than that, which at the rate we're going, maybe. But we just had another buck grunt actually while taking that trophy shot. I would be shocked if it wasn't one of the 5 or 6 that were out there with that albino, but we'll jump back up here just in case. Like I just said, who knows what's going to happen at this rate. So we finally have a whitetail buck here. And by the way, that grunt from the mule deer did come from one that was with our albino. And there were just so many deer in that area, I figured we'd just go ahead and fast travel and get around them, because clearly we got the best one out of there. And we sent so many deer running, that probably would have just been chaos. Speaking of chaos, we're gonna have to load all 5 arrows. Probably should have considered that after we shot the doe. And this may be one of those situations where A, we're really lucky he's walking broadside and not at us, but more importantly B, if that was a 190, he would be about 190 meters away from us by now. Probably a really good thing that was not a special buck whatsoever, but we'll take that, and we're kind of looping back north now. So real quick, this guy, which we hard shot after all that struggle to get an arrow actually knocked, 121 score. And what I'm thinking of doing is trying to kind of get back up into the area where we started. So let's get rid of all that. If we kind of move up along this direction, I gotta think somewhere in here are some mule deer. A lot of times, like, not too far outside this lodge, you'll find some, and we didn't today. So I'm wondering if we kind of go back there now, if any will have roamed into that area. Well, finally we can at least justify bringing the 223. Just a 46 to 53 coyote, but I think we'll go ahead and try to get him. I'm actually not so sure this is a great angle for this. Well, that worked just fine. And, you know, I'm glad, ultimately, that we didn't bring any kind of deer rifle, because it was way cooler watching that 238 walk all the way across the field and come into bow range. Same with the albino. But when setting up this loadout, I had kind of the opposite idea. What if an albino coyote's out there at 200 meters and spooks, and we could just get it with the gun? Or, you know, rare rabbit, rare pheasant, what have you. Instead, it's been the exact species that we set out after, and just luckily things have worked out where we can get him with the bow. 51.7 score, I mean 94 GM from just shooting that thing real quick, we will absolutely take, especially when we're shooting stuff lately that ends up in the trophy lodge. It's nice to have a little bit more GM to work with. Now, go figure, on the mule deer front, we're not getting too far. On the coyote front, all of a sudden, we're just finding these things without even calling for them. This one, he's low score estimate, but max weight estimate, probably going to be pretty decent. Kind of lucky that we got that. He stopped right when we shot. Oh, what spook? I think it was a whitetail. I just saw it. The worst part is, I'm sure that was on screen long enough to identify, but I was too busy looking at the coyote. We absolutely could have shot right through the front legs and not gotten any lungs, but should be 100 plus CSS for that one. I mean, we could not have asked for that to have gone any better. The way he stopped went right through the heart. 64 meters away, 24.4 kilo, 53.8 score, and a 106 GM reward for that. On a hunt where we haven't killed that much, I mean, we're north of 500 GM reward with 7 kills. It's just been, like I was saying, really this hunt has been quality over quantity. I mean, at this point, we're really making use of the 223, got a Bobcat sitting out here, and I think the plan's actually going to be to fast travel, funny enough, to where we started the hunt, where we shot that 238 scoring mule deer. I wonder where we hit that. I think it must have just died because it disappeared, but anyway, once we go and grab that, we might as well go and check in the north again. This has been one of the weirder, I'd say, like, distributions of deer generally that I've ever found on Loggers Point. There have been so few, and it's not like, you know, few grunts is that big a deal. Very few tracks. They just have not been where we typically find them. So maybe by fast traveling north again, we'll be able to find them. And you can see, we've been all over the place, and there just haven't been that many deer. So luckily, despite the body hit, we must have been too far forward, still brought this Bobcat down really quickly. Yeah, right in the shoulder blade. 8.4 score, another 100 GM added to the account. And I think the plan's going to be, we're going to jump right to that tent where we killed the 238 before, and then just hunt our way back to the trophy lodge. Not exactly what I wanted to hear, but can't say I'm surprised. And I suppose I also shouldn't be surprised. Not a single mule deer all the way along here. And I do mean not a single mule deer. No does, I mean tracks, calls, nothing. Just one of the weirdest hunts we've ever had, but it's resulted in our biggest albino mule deer ever, and I think it's time to go and check him out in the trophy lodge. And you know, this wasn't intentional, I didn't set it up to be this way, but I really like that we have albino Rosie, albino whitetail, and now our biggest albino mule deer at 150.5511, just in the same area of the lodge. Whitetail, muley, and Roosevelt elk are probably the 3 species we've shot the most of, so pretty neat to have all 3 albinos there, and like, I still can't believe the amount of luck, as few bucks as we encountered in just about 3 hours today, to get a giant typical and a really solid albino. I mean, this could have been one of our worst hunts ever, in terms of like just the amount of deer we saw, but instead, it's one of our best ever, and I would certainly say largely due to luck. Just being in the right places, changing up our tactics, rather than being super stubborn with where we go, just go to good areas for mule deer when nothing was showing up, and it really paid off today with some awesome kills. So, maybe we'll have to work loggers back into the mix a little bit more down the road, because I really like the results we had there, and maybe that'll be where we get our 400 non-tip. But on that note, that's going to do it for this video, so as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.